Hi, I'm Jason, and this is the Cultural Breakdown. According to this article on Variety, Disney to take 1.5 billion content write-off charge in June quarter after pulling dozens of titles from streaming services. Now we can remember this from later last month. Willow was the most famous example of this, but Disney was just purging Disney Plus of a lot of the content that they produced, including Willow, after just one season, to the ire of the showrunner. But going back to the article, Disney, after removing dozens of shows and movies from Disney Plus and Hulu last week, said it will incur $1.5 billion impairment charge for the June quarter. For those of you who don't know, I'm not a tax expert, but what an impairment charge is basically saying is when you buy something, it goes on to, at a certain value, it goes onto the company's books at that value. If something happens to that product or whatever, and it's all of a sudden less valuable than when you bought it, that's an impairment loss and it's marked down in the book. So from what they're saying is they're taking a charge of $1.5 billion loss on all those things you're filing. In an SEC filing Friday, the company said that on May 26, 2023, it removed certain product produced content from its direct-to-consumer streaming service. As a result, Disney will incur a $1.5 billion impairment charge in fiscal third quarter financial statements to adjust the carrying value of these content assets to fair value. So yeah, like I say, it's marking it down as now by removing that material from Disney Plus, now they're removing that value from it. So now the value of Disney Plus is now being reflected accordingly without that content listed on it. On Disney's earning call, CEO Bob Iger said he was confident that we're on the right path for streaming long-term profitability, and that as part of the company would be rationalizing the volume of content we make and what we're spending. That's actually a better move, because in the past, when Disney Plus first launched, it was at the height of COVID when people were locked down, so people were stuck inside, and that's when Disney Plus came out, and oh, you got all this new stuff to watch, so at least there's something to do. And if you look at the stock value of Disney Plus at the time, it was just skyrocketing. And I think they were thinking, like, I don't know if they realize. I mean, I can't imagine that they didn't realize it was because people were locked down. But I think they thought, well, since people are subscribing to it, they're going to keep subscribe to it, because people tend to not unsubscribe, or once they get on it, they don't really get off it. It's just a way of retaining things like that. So they were thinking, like, well, we can just put out whatever we want and just kind of throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks, and just keep going from there. I mean, the more content you put out, the more valuable it appears that Disney Plus is, and with all these subscribers. But of course, we've seen uh, people have been leaving the website now, and all of a sudden, the Disney Plus value has been going down. So they're kind of just trying to cut costs now. They were just producing like crazy, and now Bob Iger is saying they need to be more cautious about what they do. Don't just throw money at everything, but actually step back and think, is this going to be profitable? Is this something that people want to watch? Do we really want to put this out there? And that's actually a good move for this. In addition, according to Iger, the company will launch an integrated Disney Plus Hulu One app experience in the US by the end of 2023 for subscribers of both services. Comcast chief Brian Roberts said, I think it's more likely than not that this company will end up selling its 33% ownership stake in Hulu to Disney. You know, when the streaming wars kind of started, before it was Netflix and Hulu, those were the only two. I mean, and they're about $10 a month or whatever. And comparing that to cable costs, it was a much better deal, where it's like you can buy cable and pay whatever the price of for that. I haven't had cable in a while, but for me, it was like probably like $100 or something like that for cable. And then I was like, oh wait, you can pay like $10 for Netflix, $10 for Hulu, and you basically got whatever you want. Yeah, I'll just do that instead, save money. Well, then all these other companies are like, okay, yeah, we're licensing our material, like Disney and Sony and all that other stuff. We'll license our material to these sites. They pay us a fee to use it, and as a result, people go to their site and subscribe, and then can watch it. And then I think these companies kind of got wind to this. We're like, well, wait a minute, why are we uh, paying them to license, or why are we letting them license our stuff. Why don't we just put all of our own material on our own site? Then people will come here because they saw how big Netflix and Hulu were getting. So then it kind of kicked off the streaming wars. So now you got Netflix, you got Peacock, Paramount Plus, HBO Max, now the Max, and along with Hulu, Netflix. And I've said that the streaming wars were more or less just it was basically always going to end up where it's like this, where you have a bunch of sites. So now if you want to subscribe to all of them, you're paying more than what you would have paid for cable to begin with, because and there's just so much out there. So it was always going to be one of those things where there's going to be these major companies that are going to come in and kind of just it's not going to be profitable for any of them. And you can see that right now. Whereas you get like Netflix, Disney, Hulu, they're all either putting ads on or raising the prices, or maybe even both. Netflix just did their thing where they're trying to keep people from sharing passwords from house to house. And it's not sustainable for any of them. But what you do have with places like Disney or Amazon Prime, is that they have these other businesses that are kind of supplementing the costs of their streaming platforms. So the streaming branch is basically saying we just need to sustain ourselves long enough until these other places go out of business, and by that time we can gobble them up. And eventually it'll kind of just turn into a situation where you just have like one or two platforms, like you have like Disney Plus right here buying up Hulu, and then eventually they'll buy up something else, or Amazon might buy up something else. But I see that's how it's going to happen in the future, unless they just get so bogged down that they're going to just cut their losses on that, and either Disney Plus is going to kind of go back to how it was and sell to something else, or go back to licensing their own material, which I think that's the better idea. I mean, it helps everyone out. You don't need to be greedy and say I want all the money. It's like with the old system, when it was just like one or two sites, everyone was happy. It was cheap for the consumer. Businesses were making money on both ends. So I mean, there was no downside to it. And now they got greedy, and it's becoming a mess, and it's no one likes it how it is now. And so that, I mean, I think that they should just go back to how it was, and it might do that. It's just a matter of who's sitting on top of the pyramid. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure to share the video, like, and subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you.